Yo guys, I hope you're all good and welcome back to the Marin Bikes YouTube channel. As you can see, I have got my brand new Rift-Zone Carbon 2 bike here. I just got it a couple of weeks ago, so we thought it'd be a great opportunity to do a video to run you guys through just what this bike's all about, a bit about the spec, and then I'm going to go give this thing a spin and see how she holds up. Now, like I say, I only just got my hands on this thing, so I thought what better way to get to know this bike in a bit more detail is to get on the phone to Matthew Sipes, who's one of the lead product designers at Marin Bikes. He's the brains behind this bike. So I'm going to jump on a call with him and get him to give us the full lowdown of what this thing is all about. So joined here by Matthew Sipes, who is, am I right in saying that you're the sort of lead designer on the Rift-Zone Carbon 2 that I've been riding?
Think of it as I am the orchestrator behind all of our engineers, designers, and the team that brings it to life.
What's the sort of rough history of the Rift-Zone?
The Rift-Zone has always been our essentially traditional XC raced kind of trail platform. It's had different wheel size iterations, but kind of cool. The Rift-Zone name comes from actually pretty local, which is essentially the rift on the two plates, the tectonic plates in between essentially where California sits and where Point Reyes sits. So it's actually a trail that you can go shred down the street from here. But yeah, it's just a really great trail bike, short travel, focusing on being very efficient, very playful, but also really going downhill like a boss. You know, we break all of our bikes down to experiences. I think it's better to do it that way because there's lots of riders and types of riders that are going to enjoy the Rift-Zone, from, you know, some guy who's coming off racing XC to some downhiller who's going to go riding trail. And it's kind of convergence of those two styles to offer something that can kind of appease to everyone. And going back to the experience, it is a bike that's meant for all around, all day fun, good up, good down, good all around, good sideways, whatever you want to do it. And just generally is super awesome to ride. So naturally that appeals to, I'd say, almost any trail rider there is across the globe.
I guess it kind of goes through all your range. It's just basically fun, isn't it?
Yeah, and you said it, that's the underlying factor, fun. You know, we're not here to win some races. That's great if our bikes do that in the process. We're here to have a good time. And that's really what the bike is built for. So, you know, combination of short chain stays to keep it nimble and really snappy, but a long front center to keep it stable at speeds, nice slack end. So, you know, all those fancy buzzwords people are using. But we like to think that the package we came up with is just a really good blend of modern geometry, but also short chain stays to maintain that super playful and fun feel.
So cheers to Matt for giving us some inside scoop of what went into designing this thing and what it's all about. Before we go for a quick spin on this thing, I want to quickly run through the spec that I'm riding. It's almost completely factory sort of production spec on my bike, but I've changed a few parts out for some of my sponsors. But like I say, it's mostly the same as how it comes. Obviously, we've got the Rift-Zone Carbon 2 frame, which we've talked about, which is a carbon front end with an alloy rear. It is 125mm of travel in the rear with a Fox DPX2 shock. Up front, we've got the Fox Performance 34 shock, and that has 130mm of travel. Cockpit wise, we've got a Marin stem with deity bars. One of the main differences on my bike compared to the production spec, and that is the Magura Raceline MT7 brakes. I'm running those with 203mm rotors with Marin wheels. We're also running the Conti Baron tyres with a tubeless setup, a muck-off tubeless setup. That's been working really well on my trials bike, so just pulled it all over and running a similar setup across all my bikes, whether that's e-bike, trials bike, and obviously this mountain bike. We've got Crank Brothers Stamp 7 in size large. I've been running the small ones on my e-bike, but on the mountain bike and the trials bike, I've been opting for the slightly larger ones just because they're a little bit nicer when you're doing some jibby and trialsy stuff. Chainset wise, we've got the FHC Gradient crankset with a 12-speed Shimano setup. It's a Diore XT rear derailleur with an SLX shifter. So far so good on that front, feels pretty good, feels pretty solid. Dropper post is a cable operated X Fusion dropper post with this super nice PNW loam lever. Feels really nice. It's definitely the nicest cable operated seat post I've ever felt. super smooth and seems to be working really well. And like Matt was saying from Marin, it means you can slam that thing right down to the knuckle so it gets right out of the way when you are riding down hills, especially when you've got a longer traverse seat post. Also be able to do some trials on this thing as well. Oh. Apart from my legs being really used to the e-bike, it does actually climb pretty good. Comfortable. Now see how she fares up in the descent. Woo. Classic trials rider. Not sure the trailbuilders had this in mind. Pretty much cleared out of the corners there. Hop up and ride along till that little hump there. And up. Oh. So, saying as the bike was feeling so good, doing tricks and trials on it in the car park, we thought we'd take it out and give it a blast on some street and really put it to the test. Onto that little light, onto this, and then onto that. I think that gap might be a wee bit too far, especially like bash guarding this thing. Poor new bike, potentially going to get a beating here. That's like a wall I'd be happy to get up on my trials bike. Oh! That wasn't how I was planning on doing it. Nose this in, test the suspension. So there we have it, that is the Riffzone Carbon 2. Definitely passes the first test in my book. Feels mint on the mountains and feels mint on the street. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you do have any questions about this bike, please comment below and the guys from Marin Bikes will be happy to help. Any questions for myself, again, comment below. I'll be happy to get back to you. And if you do have any other ideas for videos that you'd like to see us do next, please comment below and we'll do our best to get on it.